Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior, and as always, welcome back to another Tekken 8 video. With us under 2 weeks away from the next big release, I figured that today we could cover yet another character in the series. One revealed last week that I've been yet to ever touch on. The hidden assassin of the sands, and vessel of the demon Azazel, Zafina. Whilst Zafina made her debut in Tekken 6, her intertwined role to the story, as well as infusion with Azazel, makes her a very unique and peculiar character, as there are very few that have wielded the power of a devil, let alone utilize it without succumbing to its influence. Yet, there is more with her than meets the eye, with her own ties to that of the devil gene. So who exactly is Zafina, and what is her narrative importance to 8's story? Well, that is what we will be exploring in today's video. But before we do begin, as always, if you like what we do here and wish to see more, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe and tick that bell to stay up to date with everything we do here. Anywho, let's just jump right into things. Now, Zafina derives from a very ancient tribe of spiritual assassins in the Middle East. One that guards an ancient evil beneath the surface. Azazel, the progenitor of the devil gene itself. Zafina's ancestors would be locked in combat with him for countless lifetimes, eventually capturing him before sealing him away. Yet, his relentless strength and slumbering power meant that their line was fated to ever guard his prison. This creed would be passed down from generation to generation, with Zafina herself being the most recent member of that line. And she was very proficient in rising to the challenge. Having mastered the arts of assassination and combat, she would flawlessly remove anyone that threatened the release of Azazel. As years prior to the event of Tekken 6, she would prove her worth by wiping out a small militia. Understandably, this encounter proved her worth, earning not only her family's respect, but also their trust that she could protect the tomb moving forward. Yet, a horrifying omen cast a shadow over her time as protector. In her public life, Zafina was an astrologist, someone that read the stars in order to foretell the future, a gift that was passed down her family. And one day, as she gazed across the stars, she saw two new ones soar across the sky, a pair that painted it in a bloody red. In reality, this had all tied into an ancient family prophecy, that the two evil stars would stream across the sky, and that the chains within the tomb would be undone. Understandably rattled by this information, she would consult with their guru, a family ancestor, and her predecessor, whom confirmed her suspicions were correct. From here, Zafina came to learn the identities of the two stars. Jin Kazama, the current leader of the Mishima Zaibatsu, and his father, leader of G Corporation, Kazuya Mishima. During this time, Jin had started an all-out war on the world, whereas Kazuya was on the opposing side. Whilst the two were yet to cross paths again, the prophecy had been set in motion, thus it was only a matter of time before the two butt heads. And to confirm her beliefs, she would travel out to Azazel's burial site, finding that the demon had awoken. Whilst he was still shackled by his chains, he felt his power growing, sensing that his own release was on the horizon. With very limited options and resources, Zafina knew that to stop this prophecy, she may be forced to eliminate Kazuya and Jin, or at the very least, find a better alternative. Now taking us onto the events of Tekken 6. During this time, we do come to learn that Azazel's awakening was purposely caused by Jin, as he sought to bring him back to life by amassing chaos. Yet, the true purpose behind this was because of his role as progenitor of the devil gene, as Jin had come to believe that by killing him, he could wipe out the parasite. So began a very chaotic and bloody war. With that said, being the head of the Mishima Zaibotsu made him nigh untouchable, so Zafina couldn't get close to stopping him, and as such was forced to turn her gaze to another distant member of the Mishima line, one that led the rebellious faction Yggdrasil, Lars Alexanderson. In the early stages of the scenario campaign, she can be seen shadowing Lars, seeing if he was truly strong enough to stop the stars. Her suspicions would only be confirmed when she sought out reassurance from the ancient fighter Wang. She would make another appearance a tad bit later on, where she would finally encounter Jin Kazama, as he appeared at the burial ground to seek Azazel. As the two confront each other, Zafina asks if he truly knows what he's doing, what he's jeopardizing in order to fight the demon. But much to her surprise, Jin's knowledge about Azazel, her line, as well as these burial grounds, far exceeded anything she could have expected. Along with this, she was further puzzled when Jin said he sought to kill it. But before she could get any real answer from him, he would depart, leaving her both distressed and very lost. Thus, Zafina would put all her faith in Lars, believing that he, and he alone, could be the one to stop this. So during the later half of the game, she would align with Lars and Raven, giving them the information they needed to infiltrate the temple and defeat Azazel. Although she is absent in the story's final stages, her information proves to be incredibly useful, as Lars is able to defeat the demon, who is then later destroyed by the hands of Jin Kazama. But this wasn't truly the end for either of them, as Jin's body would be found in the desert. Azazel, on the other hand, had actually survived. Whilst his body had been destroyed, spiritually, he was no longer bound by his physical restraints. So aware of his freedom, Zafina would perform an ancient last resort ritual that pulled the demonic entity within her body, sealing Azazel in her left arm. So she served as its vessel as well as its prison. But this was merely a temporary fix, as whilst it had been contained, Azazel's power and strength would only continue to grow within her. Running out of options, Zafina believed that the only true way to vanquish him for good would be to cut out all that had ties with the devil gene, to kill Jin and Kazuya. Now, coming into Tekken 7 as DLC, she is not narratively tied to the main plot, and thus, because of this, is largely sidelined. But we do know that during this installment, that her time with Azazel proved to be far too strenuous on her, being taxing both physically and mentally. She's in a constant struggle and fight against him. Eventually, out of desperation, she would seek out the Exorcists of Cyrus, led by Claudio. She was fortunate enough to get to their doorstep before she then passes out. Upon regaining her senses, she would be nursed to health by Xiaoyu and actually saved by Claudio. Having sensed the temperamental nature of her ritual, he had placed a holy seal to hold back Azazel's clutches. Realizing that she was in safe hands, she would thank the two before explaining her current predicament. An end that was only growing closer as Kazuya had just killed Heihachi. So coming into Tekken 8, as she continued to read the stars once more, praying that the prophecy had changed, all was now set in motion, with Jin and Kazuya finally clashing. But as she continued to stare into the night sky, of all of the countless futures she had encountered, she found that there was one in which they survived. One that comes at a great cost, albeit one she cannot say, for the future can only be sown if it be kept a mystery. And like that, this has been it for the history of Zafina, and I really do hope you have enjoyed it. Zafina has always been an interesting character within the lore, as whilst on paper she's intrinsically tied to Six's narrative, she could have easily been a one and done character, especially following Azazel's defeat. Thus, I found her merge with the demon to be a twist that I narratively did not expect, as it added so much more to the character than someone protecting a monster. I'm especially a fan of how she utilizes him within her toolkit. It's a really nice addition that keeps her narratively interwoven with the main theme of demons and devils in Tekken. So with that said, it now comes back and beckons on the question, what did she see of the future that cannot be said? Could it be the death of Kazuya, the death of Jin, or even herself to guarantee peace? Please do comments down below, as I'd love to hear what you have to say. And of course, what are your own personal thoughts on Zafina? But anywho, that's been it for me. So as always everyone, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting. I'll catch you in the next one.